So the purpose of this lesson today is how you understand how you move or strengthen your abilities to be in or out of under and over balance. So to talk through what that is, under balance, if this is our man here with his hands, shoulders, head, hips and feet. He's got very short legs in this one, but anyway, if he's going this way, that's moving into under balance. This way is over balance. So he's falling over his hands, his shoulders, and coming back under. So, as we talked about last time, if he has a very small window for where he needs to keep his center of gravity. So if this mark here is his center of gravity, it needs to be on top of his hands in order for him to be balanced. If that center of gravity moves outside of these lines, if that moves to here, there is no way that he can stop himself from falling down with his hands because his weight's gone this way. He's going to fall down. If his weight goes here, he has to stop himself from falling into overbalance. So if we look at that one first, we draw ourselves another man, but on a bit more of a lean. Now, the reason he's on a lean in the first place is because in order to be in balance, you have to be on a slight lean forward, which means his focal point is going to be forward, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's give him a bit more realistic hips, leg length this time. So this now is our balance window, either side of his hand, right? His center of gravity, let's call it here, is just outside of his balance window going into overbalance. So he's about to fall into overbalance. There is one way in which he can stop himself falling that way, and that is through pushing down with the hands in order to bring himself back this way into the balance window once again. So he needs to push like hell through his fingers in order to stop him going over, which means there is one way to make sure you save yourself whenever you go out of your balance window, and that is with strength and coordination. So the strength of his hands and his wrists and the coordination to know to keep his body in alignment as he pushes to bring his weight back this way. He could also use his hips. So he could bring his legs forward, which will bring his center of gravity back into this window. But we'll talk about that at a later point. So if we bring a wall into the equation, very straight wall, I know. This is our drilling, or how we strengthen our ability to move out of overbalance. We have ourselves back to wall against the wall, and we squeeze down into the floor in order to bring yourself back into balance, back into this balance window here. And then when you get there, we fall back to the wall again and do that for reps. That means you're spending a lot of time going out of your balance window and strengthening your ability to come back into it, which then is going to increase what we talked about last time as the balance window, because you're developing much more strength in and around the wrists to save yourself from going out of that. But if we were falling into overbalance, how do we correct that? So I'm going to draw a new fella here where he's got very big hands there, where he is falling into overbalance. There's his feet, shoulders, head. And let's draw the balance window. It's quite extremely out of balance here. Let's use my little rubber. Okay. So he's way out of his balance window. There's only one way. He's going to go with his center of gravity there, and that is this way. So how we can fix that is if he keeps his body in the same alignment but leans forward in his shoulders. So if I draw the feet or the legs in the same angle, and then the shoulders coming back. It's quite an extreme example. Now, we looked at this shape last week. If he has his hips here, and his center of gravity here, and shoulders here, here's all of a sudden, I'm going to make it just a bit wider for the sake of my terrible drawing. Here's all of a sudden taking his center of gravity back inside his balance window. So he's in this position, falling into underbalance. If he sends himself forward at the shoulders, his center of gravity comes back into his balance window. Then from here, he can push his shoulders back as he pushes his legs up and over to bring him back to this straight position. Okay, so how do we train for that? We have a wall where we come chest to wall, hands a bit away from the wall. Then we come forward in the shoulders. The feet will come down the wall, the shoulders come forward until you get that center of gravity inside. You get light on the feet here. They may even drift off the wall ever so slightly. And then from there, we push into that straight position with the shoulders coming back, legs going out, back to this position, and then you squeeze like hell through the fingers to push you back to the wall. So, to recap, this is our straight position. This is our ideal. We want to train our ability to go into overbalance using a wall. Squeeze yourself off the wall, let yourself go back, center of gravity coming into overbalance, back into balance, and over and in. Same again here. We're starting with our center of gravity in underbalance. We lean forwards through the shoulders to bring ourselves to this position, where we then come light on the feet, drift off the wall, press ourselves tall, and then squeeze ourselves back to the wall. So this drill looks like this, 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 then this again. So I could do 1, 2, 3. That's what that drill looks like. Now, I mentioned focal point. Our eyes are a big factor in how we balance. So you want to stare in front of where your hands are to help you stay in balance and to stop you going into underbalance. It's really all in the hands that's stopping you going to overbalance, especially for now. We'll use shapes later. But then when you drift your shoulders forward in this underbalance drill, your focal point has to move forward. So your focal point goes from just in front of your hands to quite a bit in front of your hands as you lean forwards into it to get your feet light on the wall. Take it slow, because this is putting a lot of strain through the shoulders and through the wrists. It's going to get very, very heavy through the shoulders. Make sure your wrists are plenty warmed up. It's quite extreme mobility position for the wrists, so they need to make sure they have a good warm-up before doing this drill. The shoulders, less so on the mobility, more so on the pure strength front. You don't have to do this extreme. It can be a much lesser, where you are closer to the wall. That's not much closer. Where you are closer to the wall, and you just lean forward a little bit. And then when you find that balance point, you push up tall into your straight position, and then you squeeze yourself back to the wall again. if that makes sense. So it doesn't have to be this extreme an angle, it can be much less. So you start with your hands close to the wall and then go further and further and further to make it harder. There will be a new workout for the next 2 weeks, which has these 2 drills in as a focus to help you improve your balance. We improve our ability to go into overbalance and save, underbalance and save ourselves, and to go into overbalance and save ourselves. And that's going to be the next focus going forward.